Hey guys, it's Ryan with Big Dog Investing. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you guys could do a couple of things for me, if you guys want to like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you guys have not done so already. Click the bell notification down below so YouTube can send you guys notifications whenever I release videos. Watch my videos all the way to the end. And if you guys could share my videos and share my channel with anyone, I'm trying to grow my channel as much as I can, and I definitely need your guys' help in doing so. Getting started today is me Wednesday, March 22nd. I want to start off and say that once we get to 250 subscribers, I'm going to be doing another giveaway. It's going to be a little bit smaller than my last giveaway, but there will still be another giveaway. So again, make sure that you guys do share my channel. As we get to 250 subscribers, I will let everyone know what the giveaway will be. It will be a cryptocurrency of your choice up to a certain amount of dollars. This one, I think I'll pick two winners rather than one. So that way it helps spread the amount of winners at least. Um, with that though, we do have to hit 250, and then we'll do another bigger giveaway at 500 subscribers. Today there was a little bit that happened in the markets. Specifically, the Fed released their interest rate hike, so we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about Coinbase because there was something interesting that the SEC did with Coinbase today. So, getting started, the total market cap for all cryptocurrency right now is $1,146,000,000,000. This is a 3% decrease on the day. Bitcoin right now is currently trading at $27,420, Ethereum $1,740, and XRP at 42.02 cents. So overall, we're not really like drastically impacted today. We did have a nice increase though with XRP yesterday. But since then did drop, and that was to be expected. A lot of people started to sell and reap some profits. If you guys did sell at like the 49 to 47 range, you guys could have bought back in at 42 cents. It did drop just below to 41 cents. But overall, we're still up 15% on the week. So it's still not a bad day if you are an XRP holder. It's to be expected, though, when prices increase over 25 to 30% in a matter of 24 hours, there are those individuals who are going to be taking some profits and then buying back in as the price goes down. Looking at our biggest gainers and losers, since we were in a red day today by over 3%, the majority of your cryptocurrency coins in the top 100 are going to be red. Our biggest gainer today is going to be Hex, up 15.1%. There's been a lot of news about Hex recently. It's up 69.3% on the month. It's not one that I'm currently invested in, but I'm going to look into this project. Not to say that I'm going to buy any of these tokens, but I've heard some recent news of some good things that are going on in the Hex community. I have no clue what the coin is. So I'm going to be looking into that. Litecoin's up 6.8%, and then Stacks is going to be up 4.4%. Our biggest losers on the day, not to be surprised, but XRP is going to be the biggest loser. Again, it's just because they had a massive increase, down 10.4% as of right now. HT is going to be down 10%, and then TRX or Tron is going to be down 9.1%. And there's some reasons why this one was down by so much that we're going to talk about as well. We still want to do our heroes. So every video or every, once a week or something, I'll try to put a video of somebody who does something very good for the community, because not a lot of news organizations show this. So on my channel, I like to do this. It's, not very often that we see videos of individuals doing good deeds. So when I do see them, I will post them on my channel. Security guard stops mass shooting in Tampa, Florida nightclub. So this guy right here in the red, at the beginning of this video is shining a flashlight blocking the view of the camera, and then the security guard notices that he's carrying something that he shouldn't be carrying. Security guard steps in, grabs it, throws him to the ground. The guy then charges him, and then another Samaritan and another security guard, it seems like, tackle him and bring him down over here in the corner. But this could have been a very deadly incident, and luckily the security guard was paying attention, right place, right time. God bless him and everything that he's done, because a lot of people could have been harmed in this. So I wanted to show that. But getting back, the Fed today released a statement. They had a press conference today, and they did raise the interest rates again, despite the stress that's hitting the banking institutions. So if we look down here, the Fed did raise the interest rates by 25 basis points. Get rid of that ad. So right now we're just under 5%, making things more expensive for people seeking car loans or carrying a balance on their credit cards. The S&P 500 was impacted by this. It's down 1.65%, and the Dow Jones was down 1.63%. So overall, it did impact the markets, not by a lot though, because a lot of people were expecting this to happen. So they were expecting a 25 basis point rate hike. If you guys have been following my channel, I did talk about this, that they wanted to come from a position of strength, that if the markets start to take a turn for the worst, at least they tried to do something. And then let's say if they didn't raise the interest rates, and let's say the markets got really, really bad, they can say, oh, well, we didn't think anything was going to happen. So it came out of position of strength, and that's the reason, in my opinion, why they did it. But moving on, though, getting into our Watcher Guru news, we just talked about the rate hike. But Chair Jerome Powell says the process of getting inflation down has a long way to go, and it will be bumpy. And he says that the banking system is safe. So there's a lot of people worried right now with the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank as well as Signature Bank. But he says the banking institutions right now are safe, even though there's several reports that there's over 163 banks that are showing signs of similar aspects of the collapsing two banks. So, maybe he's just trying to play it safe right here and not cause fear, panic in the market. He also says that they don't see any rate cuts coming this year. If there are rate cuts that happen, this will be very good for the economy. A lot of investors will start to invest as the Fed does rate cut instead of rate hike. But if they say that it's not going to happen this year, I do hopefully see it happening by the end of the year. But only time's going to tell. This one is the reason why Tron was down as one of the biggest losers on the day today. SEC sues Tron founder Justin Sun, citing fraud and market manipulation. He wasn't the only one that was actually sued. There's actually several influencers that were sued as well. Lindsay Lohan, Jake Paul, Soldier Boy, Austin Mahone, Kendra Lust, Little Yachty, Akon, and Neo are those to name a few. But there are several others. And that's for them retweeting tweets promoting the Tron Foundation, the Tron coin, as well as what other NFT projects are be going on during that. I do believe that there are some influencers out there that also created a lot of their own NFT projects that need to be cited and sued. One of those was it Logan or Jake Paul? One of the Paul brothers had their own NFT project, basically promoted it, says he hired outside individuals for it. And when he hired those outside individuals, he says he didn't vet them properly. And then basically anyone who invested anything into that NFT project lost all of their money. He says that he lost a bunch of money also. So, you can't be too upset at him, but obviously you're the one pushing this. You guys were trying to make money off of it. But in my opinion right here, there needs to be more of a regulation that goes through and actually needs to be shown to the public first before these frivolous lawsuits keep getting thrown out. And we're going to talk about more lawsuits that the SEC is going to be throwing out here soon. So SEC's YouTube Jake Paul for illegally promotion of cryptocurrencies tied to Tron founder. So we just talked about that. The SEC sends Coinbase Wells notice warning for potential federal securities law violation. So towards the end of the video, we're going to talk about that. Carrie Lake did come out today and said that there was going to be some huge news announced. And she says right here, AZ Supreme Court rules in favor of Carrie Lake, forces lower court to look at signature verification issues. So right now, Carrie Lake lost the governor's race here in Arizona. That's where I reside. So this is why I kind of show this. But I do believe that there's a lot of different things in elections that need to be shown. And her doing this isn't a bad thing. So a lot of people say like, oh, just trust the election process. Trust the election process. Here in Arizona, it was very hard to go to polls. A lot of polls were being shut down. The machines that were being used, you would go in and then all of a sudden they say the machine shut down. If you guys want to go to a different place, you guys can. But then baskets full of voter ballots are being brought in. So there's a lot of stuff that's being really interesting. So I'd like to see the Supreme Court, rule on this, and they did. And then now let's see if the lower courts can actually come out with these, looking at the signature verifications, determining if these individuals are actually real people, because there are certain individuals who do try to, and this is both parties. This isn't just a Democratic or Republican thing. but there are individuals in both sides who try to get votes that of people that aren't either alive or basically or aren't voting, and just cast their own ballots for those individuals, and those need to be looked at. So this is good to see. We'll see what comes out of this, especially because there were reports, I talked about in the previous video, that Katie Hobbs is tied to some of the cartels and stuff like that. So we'll see what comes out of that also. White House to disband its COVID-19 team in May. This one shocked me. White House just released yesterday that they were going to declassify. Biden came out and said he was going to declassify all of the COVID origin investigations. And that was only after the House did something, which was the House of Representatives, mainly Republican dominated, passed a law, and then it would go to the Senate, which it should have passed. If it would have gone into law, Biden could have tried to veto it, but then the House or the Senate would have voted against the veto and overruled and overturned that veto. So now it seems like it's all coming to an end. It looks like to me that the White House is trying to shuffle this under, and this is just really interesting to me, and I absolutely despise this. That it even took this long for this to come out, that now they're going to finally disband this. It should have happened a long time ago, in my opinion. Again, I'm not trying to take sides or anything, but I did lose one of the jobs that I had in healthcare that I really enjoyed due to this being mandated to get a vaccine for the COVID um, virus. I chose not to do that. And I did lose one of my jobs that I didn't necessarily need because I didn't need the money at the time. And I still don't, but it was a job that I did because I enjoyed it. So, I just want to just leave that there, that, this is kind of funny that this came out. But now hopefully businesses can actually grow and expand, as long as, again, the SEC allows it and doesn't do these frivolous lawsuits. Jerome Powell says the FOMC considered a pause in rate hikes before this meeting, but economic data came in too hot to pause. So they said that they basically wanted to pause rate hikes until the next meeting, but realized that it can't do it because economic data shows that it was needed, especially even with the banks going down. Jerome Powell says that the banking institutions are safe, don't need to worry about that, but the economic data needed to have this rate hike, and then that they also don't see the rate cuts happening until next year. Jerome Powell says no other banks are displaying the troubles that plague Silicon Valley Bank, and that it was an outlier, so we shouldn't expect to see any more banks fail. But this isn't true. There's a lot of articles and a lot of investigations saying that there's over 163 banks, like I said earlier, that are showing the same signs of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. We talked about this already right here. Yeah, I'm going to link this, though. This is the actual article that you guys can read. This one's more user friendly for you guys to read if you guys choose to, but suing Justin Sun and a lot of other individuals for promoting the TRX coin. I always like to show some of the coins that I'm also currently invested in. Again, no financial advice. You guys do what you guys want. But HBAR is one, and I thought this was really funny that they posted it. That's why I wanted to show it. It has really no relevance other than it's just a kind of a funny meme. One small step for Hedera, one giant leap for Web3, and it just shows the transaction volume of HBAR tokens right here. So there's a lot of transactions that have happened, and it's just spiking in March. So it's just really interesting and funny. And I do see that this coming out in a long ways. I think HBAR is going to go pretty strong. I think it's going to be one of the top coins here in the future. Again, no financial advice. Monica Long, she's the president of Ripple. She says no shortage of topics to dive into with these individuals at the live PBW 2023. So she's at a conference right now out of the United States, in the EU, and basically she's saying that despite Ripple's continued hiring and transactions in the APAC and EU, crypto's resilience despite its main three banks collapsing and everyone's favorite regulation. So even though that there's regulations in the United States that are at fault right now to stop cryptocurrencies from succeeding, as well as three US banks collapsing, Ripple's still hiring, and if it doesn't succeed here in the United States due to unfrivolous lawsuits, stupid regulations, and ruling by enforcement, Ripple's still going to succeed elsewhere, and I do see that as coming true. This one was really interesting, and I want to read this. It's going to take a little bit, but there's two things that I want to read. This one, as well as the Wells notice. So Bill Morgan comes out and says, "What is relevance of the blue sky issue and the fair notice defense, I was thinking it was only relevant to the Howey analysis and didn't notice until now its role in the fair notice defense. But Ripple's opposition to the SEC's fair motion of summary judgment on the fair notice defense clearly argues that Ripple sales involve no contracts and lack the essential ingredients that define the terms investment contract. So, no person of ordinary intelligence would think that Ripple sales were investment contracts. Those essential ingredients, as identified by Ripple in its SJ opposition brief, include post sale obligations to investors or rights against the seller. I think Judge Torres was right on top of the issue early in the matter, well before the blue sky issue was articulated by Ripple in summary judgment motion. Just to summarize this issue, Ripple argues that there must be a contract between the seller and investor. Even if the scheme goes beyond contract, it argues it owes no post sale obligations to XRP holders who have no legal rights against it. Judge Torres, when she made her decision dismissing the SEC's motion to strike out the fair notice defense, found as relevant as Ripple's assertion it had no relationship with the vast majority of holders. So it also says right here, it asserts also assets that it has not sold XRP as an investment and that it has no relationship with the vast majority of XRP holders, and that is true. So now there's no relationship with XRP holders is broadly expressed, but I suggest that the judge contemplated that there was no contractual relationship anticipated and understood where Ripple was going with the no investment contract argument. And it's relevant to the fair notice defense, and I must be relevant that the judge in that decision on the motion to strike out the SEC's fair notice defense specifically expressed the principle that requires fair notice to be given and a clarity requirement. So the clarity requirement is the essential to the protections provided under the due process clause of the Fifth Amendment, which basically means that there needs to be time that once you realize that you did something wrong, that you have time to either correct it or realize your mistake and basically own up to it and pay a fine. Or if you keep on doing what you're doing and you know that it's wrong and it's against the law, that's when lawsuits come out. I would not be surprised if Gensler's, in a sense, claims that there is clarity in all the altcoins and securities are a reaction to the decision. No earlier crypto case before the comment of the SEC versus Ripple involved sales between the seller and the buyer in which factually that there was none absence of a contract with the post-sale obligations or rights of XRP holders tokens against the seller. If Ripple is correct in law on the blue skies issue, then no prior crypto case of guidance in the SEC's contracted this position. How did the SEC satisfy the clarity requirement? There is considerably evidence it did not give clarity and did not regard XRP as a security. Getting back to Judge Torres, her treatment of the SEC's Daubert challenge to the expert evidence of Alan Schwartz shows her further grasp of the issue Ripple has alleviated as about the post-sale obligations and its relevance of the fair notice defense. Recall that Alan Schwartz gave the opinion evidence that unlike Howey contracts, Ripple's contracts did not contain post-sale obligations, which is huge because that's one of the prongs of the Howey test. The judge has permitted this as evidence, and as I have explained that it is relevant to the fair notice defense, I don't think that the SEC will win on the fair notice defense at summary judgment. And I do 100% agree with this. So if you guys have been following the case, that's why I wanted to read this. If you guys have no clue what's going on, I'm sorry that you guys had to deal with that. But this is super really important if you guys are an XRP holder or want Ripple to succeed in its case. Moving on, though, John Deaton comes out and says this is why it is so important for XRP holders to become amicus in the Ripple case of a year and a half before anyone else sought amicus status. Dozens of XRPL developers joined. They submitted affidavits to show that they weren't relying on Ripple, but they were helping to build the ecosystem. So, Crypto Erie comes out and says, I have unexpected best conversations in the ages with XRPL builders in the evening. Can't wait to bring it to you guys. Apex Summit September in the Netherlands. If it wasn't for the builders, XRP would be nothing. And we 100% agree with this. You guys can do so much with the XRP token as well as the XRPL. There's so much that you can do with the token and also the project and anything that involves XRP. You can build on it. You can build on the networks. You can create NFT projects. You can use it for transactions. Basically, anything is endless. I've seen that with Ripple. You guys can, or governments can use it to basically track the amount of sales and land usage. So basically, if you want to know your territory of where your house is, where your property lines are, you can use the XRP token to do that. There's several different use cases for Ripple and the XRP token. So that's what needs to be shown, and that's what needs to be shown in the courts. And that's why John Deaton came out and says that the amicus status for XRP holders was so relevant before a lot of other companies started to join in and say we've been using it. It was relevant because a lot of people are building on Ripple and the XRP token beyond what they're going to plan on using it for banks for. So this was really funny, though. Brian Armstrong comes out and says, today we at Coinbase received a well notice from the SEC's focus staking an asset listings. A Wells notice typically precedes an enforcement action. So crypto law, comes out and shows this right here. And this is John Deaton in an interview, and says that he expected this in July of 2022 to basically say that he does see an enforcement action by the SEC on a major exchange. One of those could be either Binance or Coinbase. He says, sorry, guys, I was basically off by 3 months because it did not go into 2022, but went into 2023. I wanted to show this also. If you guys are XRP holders or Sologenic holders, they're going to be doing a snapshot on Uphold on March 24th. So if you guys have your guys' tokens on Uphold, the snapshot will be given, and then you guys will get an airdrop at some point of Corium tokens. So I would not go out and buy Corium tokens, in my opinion, because if they're doing a snapshot, that means people who have those tokens, Sologenic and XRP tokens, you're going to get free tokens to begin with. And a lot of people, when they receive free money, they just dump it into the markets. We saw it with Flare. So a lot, and this is with any other airdrop you guys can look at. But with the Flare tokens, a lot of people were buying IOUs for Flare because Flare technically wasn't out yet. So people, when they got those free tokens, were selling them right away. But people were doing IOUs for 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80 cents a token. And then it got rug pulled all the way down to 3 cents a token. So be wary. Don't be buying. Again, no financial advice. I won't say don't buy. If you want to buy, go ahead and buy. But in my opinion, I'm not going to be buying any core tokens until after the airdrop. And then I'm thinking like days after the airdrop, after a bunch of people have dumped their tokens into the market. Brian Armstrong comes out and says he is the co-founder and CEO of Coinbase. The U.S. needs an update in its financial systems. The code is 40 years old and the laws are 100 years old. Cryptocurrency is not a financial service. It's a technology that can help, that can be used to update the financial services. Let's update the system. And I 100% agree with this. Cryptocurrency isn't out there to completely take away the financial systems. It wants to be integrated into the financial systems to make it faster, more efficient, and more profitable. So we don't have these huge, massive amounts of fees. So David Schwartz comes out and says, if the SEC is protecting American investors, imagine if they actually tried to hurt them. And I 100% agree with this. So this is right here. Coinbase did receive a Wells notice. So this is the chief legal officer at Coinbase. This is another one that I'm going to read all the way through, and it's really important. So Coinbase received a well notice from the SEC after years of asking for reasonable crypto rules. We're disappointed that the SEC is considering courts above constructive dialogue. But if courts are required, so be it. We'll defend the rule of law. Over the past 9 months, Coinbase has met with the SEC more than 30 times, sharing details of our business to build a path to registration. During this time, the SEC hasn't given basically zero feedback on what to change or how to register. Instead, today, we received a Wells notice. When Coinbase filed to the public in 2021, our S1 described our business in much detail, including 57 references to staking and details of our assets listings processes. The SEC approved us to go public, knowing those details. Now they changed their mind on what is allowed. In 2008, we acquired 2 broker deal licenses in an effort to become regulated by the SEC. These licenses are currently dormant, and we have been unable to activate them with the SEC for digital assets securities. Last July, we filed a petition with the SEC calling for more regulatory clarity, and we have yet to receive a response for our petition. For compassion, Or for comparison, over many years, we have been able to successfully become a licensed and regulated crypto business in a number of other jurisdictions around the world, including Singapore, Ireland, Australia, and Germany. We've also been able to successfully become regulated by another U.S. federal regulator, obtaining our DCM and DCO licenses in the CFTC, and by many U.S. state regulators. The SEC remains a sole outlier here. We don't list securities. Of the thousands plus cryptos assets Coinbase has reviewed over the years, only roughly 240 have met our standards to list on our platform. We believe a large number of the crypto securities also exist and should be available to register and trade with the SEC registered brokerages and exchanges. At a point we've made repeatedly in our discussions, the truth is today that there is no clear rule for the SEC on crypto, and efforts to engage in the SEC are met with silence and enforcement actions. They have not followed a good faith rulemaking process in the industry and is required under the APA. At times, the SEC and CFTC don't agree with the definition of a commodity or security. For instance, the CFTC chair has said Ethereum was a commodity, while the SEC chair has hinted Ethereum might be a security. Even when giving us our Wells notice, the SEC wouldn't specify assets, giving them concern or on what specific arguments that have made on the staking are wrong. Instead, we are simply told to consider the chair Gensler's the chair's generic statements. It is hard to throw the rulebook at an entire economic sector when there are no rulebooks, and on the people responsible for the rulebooks can't even agree themselves on the rulebook should say, even when we have asked for a rule book. So what's next? We avail ourselves to the court systems to finally start to get some clarity on the crypto industry in the US. Ironically, establishing some case law may be of our best shot at getting the regulatory clarity in the industry deserves. You can see the Wells notice here, and we welcome more clarity. So if you guys want to read the Wells notice in full, it's going to be linked in the comments. I will have that as the top comment. So I'll just put that here so that way I can know to put it in the comment section. So with this, though, I thought it was hilarious, though, because what this guy doesn't say is that Ripple was listed on Coinbase. And due to the SEC's lawsuit with Ripple, the XRP token got delisted from Coinbase's platform and then now is getting sued. I think it's hilarious that now that they're saying, oh, we will defend this and we need more case law. If you guys just kept XRP and actually wanted the XRP token to succeed and Ripple to actually be a business, you guys would have come out in advance. Now, I'm not going to say that I don't support this, the actions by Paul Grewal, and what Coinbase is going to do after. I think that is very important, and it is necessary for exchanges to do that. Meta Lawman comes out and says, I just read the statement from Coinbase's top lawyer on the Wells notice. The thing that immediately jumps out to me is that Coinbase very reasonably asked the SEC staff to tell them which specific tokens the SEC contends are securities. The SEC refused them to them all. This, my friends, is absolutely nuts. The entire point of a Wells notice process is to allow a defendant a chance to prepare a written rebuttal to the charges against them and hopefully head off a meritless lawsuit. But the SEC has refused to tell Coinbase what other tokens they claim are securities. How do you rebuke that? This is literally the plot of a Franz Kovik's books, The Trial. Now, I've never read that book, and I didn't know what a Wells notice was. So, thanks for Meta Lawman for being able to determine me and let me know what this is, because it's really important, because a lot of people don't realize or know the rules and regulations. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in the financial markets with being a chief legal officer. I'm not a huge head brokerage or anything like that. I'm just, an average investor in the market. So, having people be able to explain things in detail is very nice sometimes. This was really crazy after James K. Filan says the SEC plans another lawsuit. This one against Coinbase, according to the exchange. And that's what we need to realize, is that an enforcement action will be coming against Coinbase, in my opinion. Only time's going to tell what's going to actually happen. The last thing that says that we're going to talk about right here is John Deaton. He says, even if you dislike Coinbase as a business, or you think Coinbase turned its back on XRP holders, if you believe in a fair, free market and believe that the SEC Gov should protect investors, you have to be disgusted by the SEC's conducts here. And I definitely agree with this, because even though I hate the SEC, and I hate Coinbase. The SEC actually does have a job to do. Now, are they doing a grass overreach of power? Yes. In my opinion, the SEC should have been going after businesses and crypto exchanges. If you wanted to go after a crypto exchange, FTX was the first exchange you should have gone after, but you didn't. You waited until they went insolvent. And then you got